So hello everyone, in this video I am actually covering the transformation which is actually found in Grasshopper. Let me open it first. You can find there is a transform. Uh, so I will be actually looking at the components in this video from the Euclidean. So there are actually lots of components you can see here, mirror, move away, and lots of them. So let's first look at the input parameters which I will be putting into them. So the first one is a geometry, and my geometry is actually a cylinder that you can see here. So let it be on. The next one is actually an angular plane which I'll be using, and I will tell you when I will use it. And you can see it. Um, yes, if you can see, there's a plane actually rotating. So I made an angular plane which actually rotates at a particular degree, and it lies in xz. And the next one is an angle whose range is 0 to 2 pi, which I'll be using in components. And the next one is the vector. So I have made a 2-point vector which is found in go to vector and point. Let me see. Yes, vector 2 point. I made it from here. And next one is actually a plane surface, which let me turn on the preview here. You can see here it is a plane surface whose so I am starting these components by telling you about this particular plane. So the first component that you will see in the transform, let me go to the transform Euclidean, is the move. It's the second one, but let's start with the move. So what I have done, I took a XY plane. So I had to make a plane surface, this one. So that there were three input parameters. The first one is a surface plane and the length of X and Y. So you can see I can vary the X and Y values here with these sliders. So the first one is a plane. So I have made plane with the first one, the parameter is the xy plane which I found in vector. Let me go to the vector and the plane. So I've used xy plane, and I've used one thing from transform Euclidean is move. Move does it moves anything. Like if you have a geometry, it will move it. The input parameters are the base geometry, and the next one is the translation vector. So you can see I moved my plane in z direction with a magnitude of 20, and you can see I can vary the particular distance. So I took a plane xy, I have translated it and put it up here, plane surface. So I have a plane surface with x and y size and particular at a particular distance. So let's start. So if you go to transform Euclidean, so I have covered the move here. So let's go to others. The next one is a mirror. Like if you have any geometry and you want to mirror it, so you can use this one. So let's say I have this particular cylinder and I want to mirror it along this plane. So let's just connect it. So our geometry is here and the plane I have to select. So I'm connecting my plane here. Now you can see I've got a mirror here that they are actually above of each other, and I have a mirror of this particular cylinder. So this one is done. The next one is a move away. What we define with this, like if we have a geometry, let me show you, it would be much better. Geometry, and there is a emitter and the distance to move. Like if I want this particular cylinder to move in a particular direction from this plane, so I can choose. So I'm connecting the plane here. So and let me use this value as a distance. So you can see I can vary the distance here. So if you want to change the distance of a particular object from a plane, you can use this one, move away. Press Ctrl and drag it back, and connections will lose them. So the next component we have is a move to plane. What it does, if we take a geometry here, let's take a geometry, and the next one is a target plane. So our target plane is this one. Let me connect it. Now you can see the geometry is on top of the plane. it takes two values. If you want it above, you can put true or false here, and you can do the same thing here. It takes the boolean values. So we have it, and let's remove it. We're done with this one. The next component is orient. This one's gonna be interesting, and look at it. Now, what the parameters it takes the geometry. It is actually used to change the orientation. Let's go to help, and you can find what it does. Orient an object. Orientation is sometimes called, you can see whatever it is. Now I'm gonna choose the initial plane. So initial plane, I am choosing this one. Now let's see what is happening here. Now you can see that the difference between the plane and this particular geometry is, let's say the distance between this plane and this particular geometry is x, then the newly formed geometry and the distance between the plane and the newly formed geometry will be 2x, so it's multiplied by 2, and the distance of this newly formed geometry from this particular center of this original geometry is equals to the this particular length of the plane. You can see it vary here. So when I vary, you can see the distance of the newly formed geometry changing. So let's connect final plane. So I got another plane right down here, which is actually, you can see this particular rotated plane. Now I'm going to use this one to rotate it. Yes. So when I change the angles here, you can see as the plane gets changed, and the orientation of this newly formed geometry also changes. Let's go to the next one. Next one is a rotate. Rotate, yes, we will rotate in this one. So look at the parameters. So it's kind of the same actually, you will understand it. So I'm connecting the geometry, and the next parameter is rotation angle, which is here, and the plane, which plane I'm using as a rotation plane, I'm using this one. So I can control the distance by this one. You can see. Now while I'm controlling the distance, I can also change the angle. You can see this. So this is how it works. Let me remove the connections first. I can also do it by disconnect angle, disconnect cylinder. Next one is quite complicated. I mean, you should look for it more. Next one takes like 4 input parameters. The first one is a geometry. Let me connect it first. Next one is what is it? Rotation angle. So I'm going to connect it with this one. Actually, this one rotates in 3D around any axis. So next is the center, let it be 0, 0, 0, and the last one is the axis for which I am connecting the vector. So let's rotate it. Okay, let's change the center. And now change it. Here, what is happening? It took make an axis with the help of these 2 points in the center, and now it is rotating this particular the geometry around it with the angles which I am choosing here. It's actually quite complicated. You should look for it more. And it is used to do the complex things. Let me remove it. Last one is pretty simple. Last one takes a geometry. It actually used to rotate a particular object around an axis. It is easy actually. And the angle which we have right now. But there's a thing that it takes in the form of axis, it takes a line. So let's make a line. So we can make a line in curve, primitive 2-point line. So let's make line with these points. Now we're done. So this is the line. This is the object, and now we're going to control it with the angle. So you can see it's just working properly. There is nothing else. So we are done with this particular tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll be covering the array.